who knows what makes that noise?
Canada goose.
Canada goose, you're right. If you guys look out on the island, there are a ton behind us. My name is Kaylee Johnson. I am a practicum student here at Schmeekley Reserve. Today we are going to be we're going to go about a quarter of the way around the lake. We are going to be staying mostly on the trail and we'll end back where we started. Today we are going to be talking about Canada geese, of course, and they rely on Lake Joanis for many reasons. But one of the reasons is they are a game species, and this is a very protected and safe place for them to hang out and stay. I have a couple decoys in the water right there just to show you guys how big they actually are up close compared to a duck. They're behind it, but we can start our walk. We'll head this way. Alright, this is where we take our second stop. There are a few geese right over here if you guys want to see them up close. I don't think they're too angry yet, but how many of you guys have heard that geese are a nuisance or very aggressive? A lot of people. Do any of you guys have a story or had an interaction with a goose? Yeah?
My uncle decided that he was going to chase some geese and they turned around and attacked him.
Attacked them? Did they bite or anything?
Yeah, they were pecking at him, biting at him.
Does anyone else have any close encounters?
Only with poop.
Yep.
My share of walked around with it on my back.
Alright, well, does anyone have an idea of why they could be aggressive or why they are a nuisance sometimes? Yeah?
Maybe like territorial?
Yeah, geese are territorial. And the main reasons they're territorial is they want to protect themselves, each other, and their babies. They're kind of like mama bear. They are very protective over their nests in the spring. Even at this time of the year, if you get too close, there's probably one goose in the group that is going to be kind of the aggressive one, and he's going to take action if you are intruding on their space. Otherwise, they are pretty calm when you can get pretty close to the ones here at Schmeekley too. There are some people coming on the trail here. Sorry.
Oh, he's joining us.
He's joining us? Okay. So geese rely on Schmeekley for a safe place for them to rest while they are eating and migrating. A lot of people also like the poop we talked about. They don't like them because they poop everywhere, but it actually provides nutrients back into the soil. So when a lot of farmers are saying they don't like them on their fields, they eat all their crap, that is true, but they are also fertilizing the soil for them, and so they have more purposes than just being a nuisance. And then a couple of the other reasons or good purposes they serve is they are a recreation bird, and you can bird watch them. A lot of bird watchers enjoy watching geese. They're very fun, and they are also food for predators, but a lot of people don't like that one. And as you're walking, you continue to look out for more geese. If you guys want to stop and watch them for a little bit when you get up here, you're more than welcome to.
They're beautiful.
If you guys want to stand up to the side so the sun can on your eyes. So, who knows what a migratory bird is? Does anyone know what migratory?
Bird that migrates.
That migrates. So
That changes location between seasons.
yeah, and a lot of Wisconsinites do that too. They don't like the cold winters. So migration is when the geese leave Wisconsin and they fly south for the winter. They don't like the cold. They can't survive in the cold here. They can stay here at Schmeekley until the lake completely freezes over. And they will actually keep the water open longer than most lakes in Wisconsin as long as their bodies are sitting on the water. They'll swim around and keep their little open spot. Oftentimes you see the lake completely frozen and a little hole full of geese. They'll even splash some water up on the thinner ice and try to get more to melt. But as long as their body heat is sitting on the water, they can keep it open. During migration, you'll often see, if you see them flying over, you'll see them flying in a V. Does anyone know why they choose the V pattern in the sky? Cut the wind, yes. So the front bird cuts the wind for the rest of the birds behind it. They're getting loud over there. And that front bird takes on most of the force from the wind. And when that bird gets tired, they will actually honk at the birds behind it, let it know that they're tired and they want to break, and they will move to the back of the bee, and another bird will come in and take their spot. And they'll continue this process over and over again until they make it to their destination. Oftentimes during migration, they'll fly at night because there's less wind in the air, less wind force against them, and it's a lot calmer at night for them. They also can fly up to 1,000 miles in a day when they're migrating. They will stop occasionally if they want to eat or rest, and they'll look for open bodies of water that they're seeing as they're flying south, or fields that might have food for them. And they'll all kind of communicate in the air. The lead goose might say, hey, let's stop, and they'll all stop. They usually all get back up together as well. Sometimes if they are sitting on a field or a lake and they see other birds migrating, they go ahead and join them. They can fly up to 30 miles per hour when they are migrating, and sometimes even faster if they have the wind at their backs. And yeah. So Schmeekly is also a nesting site for them in the spring. So they will come back here to Schmeekly in the spring and nest. I've noticed coming out here that they love to nest on the island. They have found that it's very safe for them. There's not a lot of people on the trails. And oftentimes if you come out here during the spring, you'll see lots of geese, especially on this corner here of the island up in the trees. You'll see them kind of picking at each other, fighting each other off away from the nests, and that is when they are most aggressive too, when they have babies. I have a picture of a nest here, if you guys haven't seen one. I actually took this picture myself. I found one when we were out on the boat one early spring. It's pretty cool. They could have anywhere from like 2 to 7 eggs. And when they build their nests, you can see they have a lot of their feathers in the nest as well. They'll actually pick them off their body and put them in the nest to help incubate and protect the eggs. And then they have filled it with other sticks, of course. Yeah, they are very protective over their nests here in the spring. So if you are out here, be a little mindful. And this is what a baby goose looks like. It's about this size too. So, comes right out of the eggs. All right.
So how far is it
Oh, man, I would say it's like probably maybe 3 states, I would say. Guess depending which way they're flying. We're in the Mississippi flyway, so there's like 5 different flyways that go across the entire United States, and we're in the Mississippi one, so it goes from Wisconsin and it goes about straight down. It veers off a little bit, but
Probably to like southern Missouri or something would be 1,000 miles.
right. Yeah, so the parents, they also molt in the spring, and that's where they are able to pick off so many of their feathers and put them in the nest, because they have all those winter feathers, all the down. They're able to pick it off and have a nice spring coat. But then they also molt their flight feathers. So if you want to hold up one of these wings here. So these feathers all right here are their flight feathers, and they'll molt a bunch of these off. I have one here to show you guys. So this is one of their flight feathers, and they'll molt right off, and then they are unable to fly for a good period of time during the summer. So if you're wondering why you can get closer to a goose and it's not taking off, it's because they can't really fly. They can kind of flap and get off the ground, but they can't actually take flight. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And then they'll regrow towards the end of summer, and they'll be able to fly again to migrate. And one thing that's really cool about goose feathers is they are waterproof. So if you can see how all the water just runs right off of them. This one's even an old one, so it's losing it a little bit, but the water runs right off of their feathers. This is how they're able to stay in the lakes for so long during the winter or at all, because they are waterproof, so they don't feel, the water doesn't get to them like it would us in the cold.
Is that an oil in there?
Yeah, it's what they produce in their skin and feathers. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and they groom themselves and put it onto their feathers. Right. Alright, well, we're gonna head our walk back the way we came so we can end back at the dock. So if you guys want to follow me back this way, we'll keep going. Right there.
Oh, right there.
Alright. Well, on our third stop, I guess we have a perfect example. I don't know if you guys can see that goose right over there, but they're sitting on a log and they have their head down in the water eating. So we're going to talk about their eating behaviors. So geese come here because it's a great food source for them. There's a lot of stuff in the water that they enjoy to eat and snack on. When they are, during this time of the year, they'll be going to fields about really early in the morning, right when sun rises. They'll be going to a field to eat. They find farm fields that they really like corn, sometimes soybeans, other wheats and alfalfas they'll even stop in and eat. They spend a lot of their mornings in fields. Until about this time when you guys started showing up is when the geese started showing back up here. So about 10, and they'll come and they'll sit here, and it's called a loaf. During the day, this is what they loaf on, small bodies of water. They will rest up, they like to eat things like small fish, duckweed, aquatic plants, grass, algae, and insects that they find in the water. During this time, they'll be eating, they'll be resting, they might be swimming around a little bit, just hanging out. They're talking to each other. And then they'll hang out here pretty much all day until they want to go back to a field to eat again, and that'll be between 4 and earlier in the summer they probably leave a little bit later, but as the time changes they like to get to the field before dark, hang out there for maybe an hour or so before dark, fill up their bellies, and then they'll come back to a spot that they call the roost. The roost is where they will sleep overnight. It oftentimes is on water. Very occasionally you can see them roosting in a field if they feel comfy there, but most of the time it'll be in a secluded area of water where they know they'll be safe for the night. Most times there is a goose always on the alert, always on the lookout, and they call that a sentry goose. So you can see right here, this is what a goose looks like when it's sleeping. It has its head kind of tucked underneath its wing there. And then a sentry goose always has its head up, it's always looking around, it's always seeing if there's predators coming around. Kind of like you can see right over there, those ones are relaxed, they have feeding behaviors going on, and then that goose is kind of hanging out in the back, watching over them, talking, alerting, saying what's going on. Looks like he's saying it's time to go, and they're following him over there. All right, we have a little activity here to kind of resemble what it feels like to be a goose that is sleeping and wondering if you are going to be safe and protected. So if you guys all want to close your eyes, pretend you're a sleeping goose, and when you hear the sentry talking at you, that's how you know something's coming or it's time to move on. You can hear how loud they get, and they're kind of doing it for us out there too. Okay. And then you can hear the geese starting to honk at you, telling you it's time to go. So it can be very good for the geese, but also abruptful if they are trying to rest. Lake Joanis is also a great spot for them to be protected from hunters. As we talked about, they are a game species. They can be hunted anywhere from early August all the way until January here in Wisconsin. They have an early goose season because the populations are so high, and then they go into regular season a week later. But the species here in Wisconsin is very well managed. They have a lot of research behind how many hunters are able to harvest, and their populations seem to still be doing great here, even with that open season for hunters. But places like Lake Joanis is a refuge, a sanctuary for them to come and get away from them hunters. They really don't have to go out to a field if they don't want to, or if they go out to a field and they see hunters sitting in the field and they flare away from it, they might end up just saying, we're gonna skip this feeding and go right back to a lake and sit and be safe here. So that's what Lake Joanis provides them. There are a lot of hunters in the area, so I'm sure that this is very loved by the geese here. And then, I don't know if you guys want to feel, I do have some duck feathers here. If you guys want to kind of look at them and feel them, we can compare them to the goose size here. I do have to collect them back because we're not allowed to take migratory bird feathers unless you harvest them. But they're really soft. You can kind of see some of them have iridescence on them.
Oh, cool. That's a pretty one.
You want to hold it up to the camera?
Yeah.
Probably have to get it in the sun.
I can see it. I can see
Yeah.
it on the camera.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yes. Very cool. Nice.
Oh, that one had some pretty blue on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Some of them are
blue.
really cool, and it kind of reflects
Oh,
purple
that one's like
too.
green and blue,
Two of them.
Yeah.
depending on the.
Direction.
Depending on which way you
Yeah.
Yeah, these are from a mallard. You'll oftentimes see a lot of ducks or mallards even fly with geese when they're migrating. If they are friends, they like to hang out with each other. Here at Schmeekley, a lot of the times you will see ducks swimming with the geese or around them. And when you're in fields, if you're watching them come into a field, there'll be ducks with them. So they are pretty close friends. They don't seem to mind each other. But yeah, this just shows the difference in their size. And then like my decoys back at the dock, we can look at them again. We can see how much smaller a duck really is from them. So geese are pretty big animals. And so geese, even though their bodies look so small, they actually have pretty big wings. Duncan, I can take the speaker. I can show them how big a wingspan typically gets, sometimes even bigger. So geese do have pretty big wings. That's probably like a smaller or medium-sized juvenile. Geese can get up to like a 75-inch wingspan. So they can get pretty big. So when they are being aggressive or coming towards you, they look really intimidating because they'll flare out their wings and they just tuck them right back on their body. So you wouldn't really think that they have that large of a wingspan. They do. All right, if we want, we can head back towards the dock now. We can stop along the way if you guys want to watch some geese for a little bit here.
Well, do you know how to paddle?
That's the best luck to see babies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a very mature, big adult. This one up here is definitely a smaller one. You can usually tell how old they are. The older they get, the bigger their head is.
Oh, their heads?
No, they are not very happy with us.
Don't worry.
We'll take a walk out on the dock. Is everyone comfortable walking to the end of the dock?
Plenty of room right over here. There's a bench.
I know, they are doing me a favor today.
I probably should. You guys, I can't sit.
You can see them piling out from the island right there too. There's a bunch of them up there.
Oh, cool.
Alright, so as we end our walk here today, you guys can see how Lake Joanis is a home to them. It provides them a safe spot to nest, migrate, eat, sleep, and do all the things that they need to do to survive here. How many of you all think that geese are a little bit less of a nuisance and have more of a purpose here in nature now?
I didn't really think of them as a nuisance to begin with.
A few of you guys. That's good. That's good. That's what we want. They are very fun to watch. You can find good appreciation after learning a little bit more about them. So if you guys have small lakes, or if you live on a lake or have a pond on your property, you can actually serve a purpose to the geese if you have visitors by keeping it clean, providing them with a spot to be safe and nest. Also, we talked a little bit about ducks. There are also wood ducks, a very common species here in Wisconsin. A lot of people will put little nesting boxes up for them. You can find more information about that at Schmeekely if you would like. I know they have a lot of nesting boxes around here on the smaller ponds, so that provides them a safe spot to nest. So that's something that you guys can do if you guys want to take further action. If you guys have any questions, you guys can feel free to ask them here at the end. Otherwise, you can visit the visitor center, and they know a lot about Schmeekely and all the wildlife here too. But thank you guys for all coming to the walk. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then we also have a survey. It's sitting over on that bench back there. If you guys want to fill it out and say how you learned about us, and there's a couple questions on there, then there's a basket next to it. You can put your response in. It's very short, so well, thank you guys.
Thanks, Kaylee.
Does anyone have questions?
I will.